I am Lori Varas. I am co-founder and executive director with Wholestic Nutrition. You will get to see pictures of all the people speaking in just a little while. I am honored to co-host with you tonight 3 of my colleagues. We have a team of functional medicine practitioners and coaches, and we're very happy to welcome you to this educational program on COVID-19. And we're going to discuss current testing for COVID-19 and the progress that functional medicine coaches have in assisting people to be more successful in fighting infection. I guess before we get into all the details, I should cover something legal. Just remember, we're not diagnosing or treating, but we're presenting information for supporting your overall health and immune system. So a short outline of tonight's presentation. I will first introduce my co-founder and my colleague and my partner, Dr. Anass Sentissi, and he will take the second slide and we'll kind of bounce around, and then I'll introduce a couple of our wonderful coaches. We're going to, I know somebody's there. If you're muted and making noise, feel free to mute and unmute yourself if you're a speaker. We have a very short 2-minute functional medicine video that I wanted to show. They do a really nice job of describing what functional medicine is if you're not all that familiar with it. And I'm really excited because we have a case study. We were successfully able to help really a dear friend of one of our coaches here in Indianapolis. So you're going to hear that case study from Shereeta Lacey. We're going to get into the science of viruses and symptoms of COVID-19. We'll talk about people's increased risk factors of how to develop it and why some people are not developing it, how the gut is actually connected to your lungs and your entire body, and why we're here to talk about healthy diet and lifestyle choices and how to support your immune system, protect yourself. So we'll get into, I hope, some information that is new to you and exciting. And so first and foremost, if we can have the next slide, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Like I mentioned, he is our educator, our researcher, Dr. Anass Sentissi. He has a wonderful background and so many degrees. And I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself and thank where he got most of our information from tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Lori, for this intro. And I am so happy to share a lot of informations with the audience today about not only a coronavirus, but in the whole environment in general. Before I jump on that, I want to thank you, Dr. Girsanti, our educator at a functional medicine university, who dedicates his life to education and research for the field of functional medicine. And also, I will have also a thank you to Robert. He's one of our educators at functional medicine university. Because all this group of doctors and researchers, everybody come with his own research. And then what I did, basically, I just put all together and then add something very new. The thing very new, it's all about the research that I did at Functional Medicine University, is actually to apply the quantum theory to medicine. I don't know if you are familiar with the quantum theory. You can read my book called The Bridge from Ancient Medicine to Modern Health. It's a part of our education program at Wholestic Nutrition. And my research actually starts at IU, Indiana University, Bloomington, working with a group of talented doctors, including Dr. Anthony Guest Scott as a research assistant under supervision of a Professor Daniel Reed, who used to advise me all the time, you need to get the approach for your next PhD about food and medicine, or food and science. So this is what I did, and then this is it's known as how you approach two topics to get mix them together to get the result of the research. Indeed, my research was focused on music and astrology, and my focus was the Middle Ages. If you are familiar with Morse, I did a lot of anthropology through Morse, which Andalusia, located now in Spain. And then I want to see how they connect music Andalusia to the whole quantum study based on the nature and how it's applied to the whole universe. And the same theory that's applied to the universe, basically, it's applied to us as a miniature of the whole. So what is the quantum theory? It's the ancient alchemical studies. It's the macro study. I can also explain it as a fundamentals. So a lot of people know what fundamentals means. Fundamentals basically is when you take a topic and then you take it as for example, we have colors, and that's fundamental of colors need to be yellow, blue, and red. So without those three colors, you are not getting to a spectrum. So this is an example of the quantum. So the quantum in colors are red, yellow, and blue. The quantum in medicine basically based on flame, blood, yellow bile, and black bile. All those elements work together to produce the physiological balance. See the body as whole, not divided to organs. The same theory applied to a quantum of math, physics, chemistry, metaphysics, and functional medicine. And then how they are connected? Well, my research that I used to connect medicine with all of that, I used an ancient repertoire of musical melodies as frequencies. So when I took the frequencies, I approached it with a center of all knowledge. So, and this is the only solution. Using the nature is the only solution to help our future generation to live in harmony with the nature applied in our modern technology, like using software or all this technology, basically needs to be all together and do not mess with our nature. So if you have a rocket going to the moon, if we don't go to a flow of the nature, the rocket will explode. So the whole functional medicine theory is to understand that there is no such as a part like liver or heart or brain or gut, or they are all those organs, they are all working as a harmony, and they need to be in balance. It's kind of a playing music in an orchestra. When one of the musicians it's not well tuned, the whole orchestra will sound not right. The music won't be right because the instruments are not tuned. So this is the analogy that I can come with. It's the same thing as your body. It's your body, it's not tuned in balance, so we are not getting anywhere. So what is functional medicine? Probably we did prep for you a video that will be in next slide, and then we are going to play it to understand it. Go ahead.
The perception of healthcare has radically changed over the past decade. Increasingly, consumers are recognizing key relationships between diet, exercise, supplements, and disease prevention. They are looking for ways and willing to spend money to not only mitigate the risk of developing a chronic disease, but they are also seeking to increase quality of life, vitality, and challenge the currently accepted model of aging. There is also a profound skepticism and dissatisfaction with the conventional medical model's approach to disease prevention, as well as its evaluation and treatment of chronic disease. With the aid of the internet, consumers are better educated, and they demand more from their healthcare providers. They are willing to pay out of pocket to get the level of care they want and deserve. People are no longer blindly accepting what they're told, but want real data to answer basic questions concerning the why and how a disease process starts and how it can be prevented. That is the real value and the tangible solution that the functional medicine approach offers to this rapidly growing market. Functional medicine is a systems biology-based approach that focuses on identifying and addressing the root cause of disease. Each symptom or differential diagnosis may be one of many contributing to an individual's illness. Functional medicine provides a real solution to chronic disease prevention and treatment by evaluating and treating the underlying aberrant biochemistry and physiology, which leads to a pathological or disease process. Conventional medicine does not have a viable solution for preventing, evaluating, or treating chronic disease, which is why the clinical outcomes and expense of treating chronic disease using conventional medicine continues to spiral out of control.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. You can actually watch that entire video on our website, and most of you have probably been to our website. I will put it in the chat in a bit, but it is just wholisticnutrition.com. So please feel free to go there. I am honored to introduce tonight. So the gentleman, Dr. Sentissi, who was just speaking, is his photos there in the top center. To I guess when you're looking at the screen, on the right-hand side in the top right is Cathy Bedel. She is one of our specialists in autoimmune. Her life story, we have YouTubes and podcasts interviewing Cathy, and her story is on there. And I encourage you to please subscribe and check out our YouTube page and follow our podcast. They're now available on all of our major, any of the platforms you're probably looking at. Again, Wholestic Nutrition. And Cathy's story is remarkable. She unfortunately has lived with autoimmune diseases since the age of 5. And I'm pleased to say that since she started working with us, her story has changed, and she's been coming along wonderfully all the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to take all the credit there, Cathy, but you really have changed. And you're 110% behind what we do. And Cathy actually has her doctorate in naturopathy. So I'm thrilled that she's going to be here and talking about many of the slides with us tonight. And our next speaker, though, is Shereeta Lacey. And Shereeta's on the bottom on the right hand of your screen. And Shereeta is our coach that is very, very passionate about her community, what we're doing. She too has transformed herself and her health and is sharing it with others with no holds barred. She's just out there, and I am so thrilled that she's going to give us a description of the first case study here in Indianapolis that we'd like to share with you. So we're going to start with a case study, and then we'll get into the science. So please, Shereeta, take it over, and we can have the next slide.
Good evening, everyone. We had a 47-year-old African-American mother of 4. Her risk factors included nutritional deficiencies. She abided by a standard American diet. She suffered from narcolepsy, which is an autoimmune disease, leaky gut, hyperpermeability, and obesity. She had began with me as a holistic nutrition coaching client 3 weeks prior to being exposed. She was exposed at work during mandatory overtime. And as her symptoms set in, she had no fever. So she was refused a test, but she was allowed to stay home from work. She relapsed on comfort foods. She included a lot of sugar, and start, she became increasingly symptomatic. She showed up at the emergency room and demanded testing. She was tested on March the 31st and sent home to quarantine with her family and waited out. She reached back out to me. She was in unbearable pain from the inflammation, and we began intervention immediately. A week later, she received a positive test result on April the 6th after surviving the worst of the symptoms. Her symptoms included a lost sense of taste and smell. She could not breathe. She had intense pain all over. Even when she had her worst symptoms, she never had a fever. She had a deep, harsh, uncontrollable coughing spells. We provided an immune resiliency protocol and a 14-day detox program to reduce her inflammation, clear out mucus, and heal her gut lining. We shopped for her groceries, provided her supplements, and created her food prescription menu of soups and smoothies based on her health history questionnaire and blood type. Her results were an elimination of pain from inflammation, elimination of coughing spells, dramatic decrease in mucus, major increase in energy, alertness, and mental acuity, a rapid regain in strength. She was able to return to work within a week and a half of receiving the positive test results and started the protocol immediately. The client was grateful that she had implemented the detox program even before being tested positive and upgraded to the COVID-19 protocol. And that was really out of necessity. And I can tell you as her friend what it means to me. I'm the godmother of her children. And not only was she already committed to her life, her lifestyle shift through working with us, she was really convinced that because she had done the program with us before she was exposed, that it really, and these are her words, that it really saved her life. And so I just really appreciated having a team to work with and to be able to be a coach to help her, because she had no one when she was sent home. So I'm just grateful for that.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So we're going to move to the next slide, and Cathy is going to take us into some science. So please, Cathy.
All right. Well, let's take a closer look at this little bugger that's causing all the fuss. So there are over 5,000 identified viruses. The virus we're talking about in today's world is a novel or newly identified virus. It's called Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, or as you'll see sometimes, the abbreviation, as you see there, SARS-CoV-2. The virus causes the disease we know of as coronavirus disease 2019, also known as COVID-19. So how contagious is COVID-19? Let's take a look at the next slide. Here's a little diagram explaining R0, or the average number of people a sick person will infect. So R0 is a measure of how a contagion spreads. For context, note that measles and chickenpox are among the highest R0 diseases at over 10. The common cold is between 2 and 3, and influenza is around 1 to 2. So compared to the previous SARS virus, the family of virus to which COVID-19 belongs, it's proving similar in its ability to spread, somewhere in the range of 2 to 5. Since we are still studying this bug, we continue to learn as we go. Next slide. So this quote's great. The coronavirus isn't alive. That's why it's so hard to kill. So once inside a cell, a virus can make tens of thousands of copies of itself within hours. And within days, a person will carry millions of these virus particles in a single teaspoon of blood. And this quote from Andrew Pecos from Johns Hopkins is a great mental picture here. They break into your home, eat your food, use your furniture, and have 10,000 babies. And then they leave the place trashed, right? All right, so let's go on. Another reason why COVID-19 is proving to be a menace is its ability to be viable on surfaces. A study from the New England Journal of Medicine suggests that the virus is viable on plastic or steel for up to 72 hours, cardboard or paper up to 24 hours, shoes anywhere from 12 to 24 hours, depending on how much plastic's on your shoes, and then it can be airborne up to 3 hours. So that's why basic prevention is so important. an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if you've had the news on, or a YouTube channel or anything in the past month, it's been repeated over and over with demo video after demo video. Wash your hands, right? And wash them well. You want to clean surfaces often. And if you didn't know the basic reason why soap is discussed so much, soap will dissolve the lipid membrane of that nasty virus. So we want to render that thing inactive by using soap, or alcohol has also been found to be effective at about a 75% concentration. So using those things are good for cleaning. You'll also want to, in addition to cleaning surfaces, launder your clothing and linens often. And then masks. I know people have been hesitant to get going with those, but even the homemade masks are effective and helpful for a couple of reasons. They reduce airborne particles coming from and entering the mouth, and it serves as a barrier in breaking habits such as touching your face. And then cleaning your home's air is also a good idea, and you can do that with a good air purifier, opening windows when you've got a nice day, burning sage, using essential oil diffusers, and doing anything like that can help keep your air in your home fresh. Next slide. So we've touched on prevention, but sometimes people do get this coronavirus. So here's a nice outline of what some of the symptoms are that we're seeing in these cases. Early detection is very helpful in being able to isolate appropriately, to seek medical attention and get the body the support it needs in a timely manner. So some of those symptoms include, but are not limited to, you'll see fever, and just remember, the gal in our case study was not running a fever, so that's not always going to be an indicator. So fever, cough, fatigue, dyspnea, which is difficulty breathing or discomfort in breathing, extra sputum, shortness of breath, muscle pain, chills, dizziness, headache, sore throat, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and nasal congestion. Some symptoms require immediate medical attention from a doctor. And if you're having symptoms such as difficulty breathing, chest pain, confusion, difficulty walking, blue lips, anything like that, so important to seek immediate medical attention. Severe symptoms indicate the possibility of pneumonia and multiple organ failure. Okay, moving on. A possible early sign of infection to be aware of is loss of taste and smell. This is happening in about 30% of cases, and it happened in Shereeta's case study. A couple of interesting side notes. It is estimated that 25% of infected people are asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms. The incubation period is averaging to be 5 to 6 days, although it has been as short as 2 or as long as 14 days. So all of these are contributing reason to why quarantining has become so serious with this virus. As you'll see in the next few slides, Dr. Sentissi will highlight underlying conditions that correlate to the most unfavorable outcomes and explains why COVID-19 is taking a toll on these populations.
You need to get Dr. Sentissi to unmute himself there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, as we know, Americans, they are raising chronic disease. So the population is so high on, all this, the underlying. As you can imagine, a person in a weakened state due to a underlying condition or whose immune system is already ruining on the overdrive are most as risk for having a difficulty recovering from COVID-19. Pre-existing conditions related to a circulatory system like cardiovascular disease, hypertension, chronic respiratory disease, diabetes, are of the greatest concern due to the affinity of the virus invading and damaging or destroying cells with SCE2 receptor. We are going to talk about SCE2 receptor, that they are the one that to blame, not the virus. SCE2 receptor sites and the furin enzymes, also they are very important to activate this coronavirus or COVID-19. Endothelial and epithelial cells contain this receptor, cells that line the blood vessels found in many places in the body, but consider the importance of the role of these vessels in the lungs, small intestines, kidneys, liver, and heart disease. Of course, conditions like cancer and autoimmune disease are also significant causes for concern, as the immune system is already under stress for other reasons, such as inflammation, toxin, and burden. And then I'm going to tell you also fear. It's do that. When people has a mood of fear, the whole stress system shut off, and then open the immune system to be invited with all kind of viruses, bacteria, or any kind of bug. So the stress that we are living in, it's a huge factor. A stress immune system is unable to quickly and efficiently remove viral threats from the body, and in the case of chronic disease states and autoimmune condition, can cause the body to flare into the hyperdrive with potential to cause extreme damage to viral organs, as healthy cells are mistaken for infected ones. Next. So in this one, we are going to talk about, the underlying cause. The underlying cause of death is cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, age, chronic pulmonary disease, chronic liver or kidney disease, radiation therapy, people with cancer, they just came for chemotherapy, they are very, very open, people with an autoimmune condition, and chronic neurological disease. So that is the underlying cause. And then all those people that they are diagnosed with one of those people that they need to watch for. Those people, they should not go back when everything open. They need to talk to their doctors and then, provide with more prevention, how you can prevent yourself, even you are going to work, like Cathy said earlier, wash your hand, put your mask, and then keep the distancing, keep all that. But even though it's a huge risk. Next, like what I said earlier, everything is connected. It's not only in my mind or in a functional medicine. That slide, it's actually it's a medical slide that has this system or vagus nervus. This vagus, it's a person in a weakened state due to the underlying condition that we talk about, or worse immune system, is already running onto an overdrive, are most at risk for having difficulty recovering from that. And then also, like what you see in here, you're gonna see the connection between the gut and the kidneys, to the liver, to the lungs, to a mouth, and then all the system, they are connected. So why we are talking about functional medicine? Because we see the body as whole, and then we don't see, the organs as the problem. So if I have, for example, like just say a heart disease, so I'm going to fix the heart or fix the underlying cause. Of course, the underlying cause, because the heart here, it's in connection with all these members. Next. So here I'm talking about studies and then some research I did about how obesity is the underlying cause of heart disease, diabetes. Anytime people, they are overweight, they are open to many diseases. So what's the solution? And then here, New York scientists, a largest US study of COVID-19 find obesity, the single biggest chronic factor in New York City hospitalization. Doctors in New York, they all have overweight people that they are running to the hospitals, and then most of them that they are with the underlying cause, actually they're gone. They cannot help them. So next. In this, we are going to talk about the conditions of this virus COVID-19. Like what you see in the slide, there are 71% of those hospitalized with COVID-19 in the US, and 78% of those in the intensive care have underlying health condition. And then we already covered that in the other slide, but just to emphasize that obesity, diabetes, chronic lung disease, heart disease, obesity, and the list goes on. Actually, it's the treat for this virus. The virus will go and then find the immune already open, and then the immune is already stressed, and then it cannot help any of the virus, and then it's gonna take people down. So people with the underlying cause, they need to start to work with coaches so they can help at least reverse their prediabetes, or they are overweight. Get to the gym and get to your coach and then lose some weight. People with high blood pressure, see the underlying cause. Contact us. We are here to help you. Next. 60% of US adults have at least one underlying health condition. So there is 399 patients with at least one of those underlying cause disease, 70% greater chance of requiring intensive care of a respiratory or both, or dying. Next. So here we understand that we are not going to, control the virus, but you can control the host. And we already talked about the host earlier. It's the ACA2. ACA2, it's going to be in the other slide. So ACA2, it's the SARS-CoV receptor, was identified as a functional receptor for SARS-CoV using a direct biochemical approach. Like what you say in there, there is two one with what it is, AC2, and then the chimp that they explain how we can figure out the way naturally how we can attack this host. SARS-CoV-2 gain entry into the host via the ACE2 protein. So without ACE2, this coronavirus, it won't be active. So who activates COVID-2? It's ACE2 protein, which is found not only in the lung epithelia, but also in a gut epithelia. Therefore, the gut could present an entryway into the host and maybe a site of viral infection. Indeed, 18% of patients with COVID-19 has diarrhea. So anytime you have, the virus, it always will affect the gut first, because I understand that the gut is the center of all the body and it's connected to a brain connected. And then we are going to see it in the other slide. And then everybody with COVID-19 has diarrhea, abdominal pain, and vomiting. Probably those people that they are coming with diarrhea and nausea, 1 or 2 days before they develop fever and respiratory symptoms. And in some cases, digestive symptoms were the primary symptoms of COVID-19. Further, GI symptoms with COVID-19 may indicate a more severe course of illness. For example, abdominal pain was reported more frequently in patients admitted to the intensive care unit. We know now that SARS-CoV-2 is the family of coronavirus, and then without SARS-CoV-2, we cannot have a coronavirus, COVID-19. SARS-CoV-2 can also be detected in a fecal specimen of the asymptomatic patient. And then next one is why I choose this test. Next. So this test is a stool test. And then this is why I use this test, because it's a prevention. Coronavirus stool test, it's monitor, manage, and prevent transmission of COVID-19 with the new SARS-CoV-2 stool test from Diagnostic Solution Laboratory. It's FDA approved from, this Diagnostic Solution Laboratory. It's FDA approved. We have a lot of stool tests through them, such as GI map and then others. But a high fecal viral level found in COVID-19 disease and in symptomatic carrier, the SARS-CoV-2. So the virus that cause COVID-19 can be detected in the stool, and a patient were no longer positive for the virus in the respiratory samples, yet stool samples were still positive, clearly underlying the value of fecal testing. Data from 98%. It's in a respiratory system. Another study reported that patient shed the virus in stool 30 days after initial infection. So always we can have hope and detect the SARS-CoV-2 in stool probably weeks before it's been activated. So this is a wonderful solution, and then I loved it, and then I want to share it with you. So anybody with a doubt what kind of test I want to have, there is a blood test with a IgM and then IgG, which they measure the antibodies. So those antibodies can be actually elevated or low due to other viruses, because we are not getting to the point if this virus is in or not. So the antibody, I don't know about it that much. The one that actually swap through the saliva, that it says corona COVID-19. I mean, a lot of people, they are positive and then they are not getting any symptoms. And then I am thinking that that test, it's picking up only the SARS-2 because people, they've been vaccinated 10 years ago. So we have it in our body. And then this is why I am coming with that stool test, because it's preventive. And then if we got SARS-CoV-2 in stool weeks before it's developed, that will be great. So even we find out that SARS-CoV-2 in a stool, we got the protocol. And then next. So here, just to let you know what's a direct link between COVID-19 and a gastrointestinal illness. So in ancient studies, I already know, probably you do, Hippocrates says all the diseases start from the gut, and the gut is a powerhouse of the whole body. So if something gonna happen to the lungs, it's gonna start from the gut. If something going in your brain, in the gut. And then I show you earlier the the vagus system, how it's spread. Fecal oral transmission may be a part of COVID-19 clinical picture. Significant number of coronavirus patients experience diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, abdominal dysfunction before onset of respiratory symptom. Mild GI dysfunction, diarrhea. Researcher found RNA protein from SARS-CoV-2 are shed in Ep6 in early infection and persist after respiratory symptoms abate. Rezoning the AC2 receptors, the entry point for SARS-CoV-2 viruses are most abundant in the cells of the ileum and colon and lungs. By understanding that it's a AT2 cell. A growing body of clinical evidence suggests that the digestive system may serve as an alternate route of infection for SARS-CoV-2. Clinicians should be giving consideration to patients presenting with GI symptoms, the possibility of SARS-CoV-2 infection. Next, like what I said, gut is the center of the body, and then all the medical researchers, they are missing that point. So what we have in a conventional medicine, okay, you have a lung disease, give you a medication for lung disease, and then I will just put a symptom under control. But the underlying cause, who caused this lung disease, is the gut. And then the gut microbiome may have a role in lung health, in a respiratory tract infection. Pathogens invade the airway and multiply. Infection depend on the number and virulence of pathogens, but perhaps more important, the host defense. Acute respiratory infection, such as influenza, can initiate a dysbiosis in the respiratory and gastrointestinal tract, which may promote the development of a secondary bacterial pneumonia. In some studies, oral probiotics have shown a protective effect against influenza viruses, pneumococcal infection, and ventilator-induced pneumonia. This points to a possible strategy of improving the gut microbiome to improve immune defense and prevent respiratory infection. And this is what is functional medicine all about. Investigate the underlying cause, which our immune system next. So again, we are not going to control the virus, but you can control the host. So the optimized gut health to reduce the impact of coronavirus infection gives the role to SARS-CoV-2 in a gastrointestinal infection. GI is the center of the whole body, and then we need always in our practice, we start investigating a gut. So what can we do about it? If we cannot control the virus, but we can control the host, what we can do about it? We may not be able to control the virus. This is the truth. And then there is a research. It's a novel virus. By giving our bodies the right tools to ward of conquer, treat as it was created to do. And then again is a dysbiosis. I didn't talk about too much dysbiosis. It's a bad bacteria and can be a host actually. So the virus, when it comes, need a host where it's gonna grow. It always look for a bacteria. And then when we have a bad bacteria, this is what the virus wanna be. Who's going to kill them? A good bacteria. And then this is a next slide. And then we are going to see the gut in connected with the entire body. As much as 80% of the immune system stems from the gut. And then this is the theory that I do believe to it. And then scientifically approved that it's in here. And even in, sorry about that, ancient studies says everything starts from the gut, but this is a new study that shows that 80% of the immune system stems from the gut. Our gut is responsible as a barrier of protection from the outside and for the absorption of nutrition. As previously discussed, antigen and digest food particles, yeast, fungus, toxins, etc., can pass through a damaged gut, causing inflammation in many of the body system. So that's what we call a leaky gut. If you never heard about it, this is something that we diagnose and then we help our client with. Consider the liver, pancreas, brain, joint, and muscles pain in the context of pre-existing condition and the susceptibility to poor outcomes in the context of COVID-19. Now, more than ever, we need to pay attention to the signals our body gives us and consider paying closer attention to restoring health to the intestinal tract, which truly is the main part of our immune system. Next, here's the beauty of functional medicine. It uses symptoms assessment, lifestyle history, and testing to identify the pieces of the puzzle, system imbalances, to track back to the suspected root cause issues, which that information, targeted support and lifestyle changes as are suggested, and when implemented, help the body heal itself. And then how amazing our body heals itself when you stop harming it. Take a look at this list of some of the most common reasons the immune system can function suboptimally. At Wholestic Nutrition, with our partners Evexia Diagnostics, we have cutting-edge science tool and tests to guide clients through identify and then prioritize of the specific issues, as well as education about how to support their body accordingly. We believe that every individual is unique, and there is no one size fits all when it comes to achieving better health, but there are some fundamentals truth in common that can get any person started in the right direction. We believe that food is medicine, and that many of our best therapies come directly from natural and nature and changes in life habits. To talk about, solutions and a lifestyle, I will pass to Cathy to talk to us about how you support the immune system and then how we can go through this epidemic. Cathy, please.
Thanks, Dr. Sentissi. Next slide. All right, so this is just kind of a reiteration, but I'd like to kind of go through that quickly with you. So when we start working with clients, we get into all the nitty-gritty details. We want to know everything. We ask questions that identify family history issues, toxin exposures, emotional traumas, food and lifestyle habits. We dig into all of that. We work with you to lay out the common foundation of health and identify some of the cracks in the foundation so that we can give the proper attention to those things. So we look for things like genetic predispositions. And we always want to reiterate that, your genes are not your fate. They're a predisposition, yes. And I like to call them the bullets, but you always have control over the trigger. So some of the triggers, though, include the things you have control over, like diet and nutrition, GI imbalances, stress management, toxic exposure and burdens. So we'll look at all of those things. And do you notice how many of those things are directly correlated to a properly functioning digestive tract? Take a look. Next slide. So what can we do to support the gut and the body? Let's take a critical look at what we are consuming. It's important to realize that choices regarding our diet can go both ways. Imagine you consider yourself an average but somewhat healthy eater. If you eat higher quality foods, living, fresh foods, you will strengthen the immune system and your overall health. But likewise, if you eat poorer foods, such as canned, processed, high sugar, high preservative foods, you will contribute to a weaker immune system and more inflammation in the body. So as a side note, I like to just share with my personal journey. Lori mentioned I've dealt with autoimmune disease from an early age, diagnosed with RA and lupus. Early on, I made some really critical observations regarding the pain and inflammation I was having in my joints. I was shocked when I removed sugar and gluten, carbs, things like that, how much those things caused pain in my body. And before I had, removed them, I didn't realize how many warning bells were going off and how poorly I was feeling. So sometimes a simple change like reducing sugar and cleaning up your diet can make a huge difference in the amount of pain and inflammation you have. Next slide. So we want to move on to some ideas about things to do immediately. These are some suggestions of removal, and these are good things for anyone to remove from their diet. So gluten, it damages intestinal wall, so it can lead to gut permeability, so it's a good thing for anyone to remove from their diet. Processed foods, they increase your toxic load. Like I said before, sugar, it fuels fungal overgrowth and inflammation. It feeds lots of bad bugs in the body. Dairy is similar in that. It also damages the gut and it can create mucus. Nicotine, of course, damages the lungs. Artificial sweeteners also interrupt the gut microbiome and can kill some healthy microbes. You want to limit or avoid grains because they stress the GI tract. And you want to become aware of personal food sensitivities, which will help reduce your overall inflammation. Next slide. So now we want to add the good stuff in. We work with our clients in establishing a bio-individual diet, but there are foods that are generally good for most people with a low incidence of allergy or sensitivity. When you work with a functional health coach, we can tweak these for you with more precision based on your unique needs. Some of these healthy suggestions include anti-inflammatory and gut healing foods. So you see the list here. We've got a plant-heavy diet is always good. They can contain many antioxidants, fiber, healthy proteins, wild-caught fish, grass-fed meats, bone broth, herbs like ginger and turmeric are naturally anti-inflammatory. Likewise, mushrooms help support the immune system. Healthy oils like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia nut are some of the really good healthy oils that provide omegas. Appropriate hydration is very important, and you want to make sure your water that you're drinking is clean and in the appropriate amount, because a lot of people are actually dehydrated and they don't know it. And organic teas are also a good source of healing energy. So next slide. All right, a few little extra tips here. So time restricted eating is a general good thing for everyone because it maintains proper digestive rest. You want to get that rest from your gut between dinner and your breakfast. And there's a reason why breakfast is called breakfast. Break them the fast, right? You want to get 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. You want to do exercise, but you don't want to do heavy training if you've got any weakened state. It could add to an extra burden on the body that can weaken the immune system. So a nice healthy place for you and your body, where you're at. And then humidity is good in the home at about 50%. Next slide. So I'm going to run through a quick list of some immune support supplements. Some of them are more commonly known than others. I will choose just a few of these to discuss in greater detail coming up. It's important to note that while many of the supplements can be found online and over the counter, always consult a trained health coach or health practitioner to outline a plan that's specific to your needs. When you can get your vitamins, minerals, and probiotics in your diet, it is preferred, but sometimes supplementation is quite beneficial. So here's just a rough list. There's many choices out there, but here are some of the ones that we like to recommend. Vitamin D3, vitamin C, zinc, beta-glucans, probiotics, enzymes, omega-3s, and a lot of these you can get from your healthy fish and oils, anti-inflammatory herbs and essential oils like boswellia, that's a frankincense, turmeric, it's just curcumin, elderberry, ginger, rosemary, and clove. And then melatonin is also an excellent supplement to use during this time. So Dr. Sentissi is now going to
let's
fill us in on
sure. Yeah,
more.
I can work on each next. I can work on each vitamin just to shed a light on what the benefits for having supplements. Supplements, they are what we call them supplement. They are not working without food. So if you are taking only the supplement with poor diet, they are not working. If you are taking a good food and then adding the supplement on the top, it's the right way to go. Why? Because our food now, it's with the soil and pesticides, and the food now, it's got a lot of depletion of nutrition from the pesticides and chemical we are adding. It's why even we are eating whole food, it's very recommended to add vitamins. So vitamin D supplements save and protected against acute respiratory tract infection overall. So when you have those doses with your food of vitamin D, you are basically, preventing any kind of a infection in your respiratory. Next. Vitamin C. I mean, New York hospitals now, they are utilizing vitamin C. So even the modern medicine, even the conventional medicine, they are thinking about how we can help those people. So they give them a lot of vitamin C. COVID-19 intensive care patients immediately receive 1,500 milligrams intravenously, and then extra amount of 3 to 4 times a day. The patient who received vitamin C did significantly better than those who did not get vitamin C. It helps a tremendous amount, but it is not highlighted because it's not a sexy drug. So because it's natural, people, they won't think about it. And then it's a mind that we need to, reverse. So what we have in food is medicine. So vitamin C is very, very good. Next, probiotics also, they are so wonderful. Probiotics, I will tell you, participant has contracted a cold 4 times in the past year. Consumption of probiotics significantly reduce incidence of upper respiratory infection and flu-like symptoms. So they had increased the CIGA in the gut. Those, they are more the good bacteria. So healthy flora is a diversity of bacteria. If you don't have a diversity of bacteria, that means you don't have a good immune system. So when I see the immune system, again, in the gut. Next. So that's beta-glucan. This compound regulate the function of the innate immune system. This part of the immune system is the first line of defense. And then actually it works against viruses and bacteria. And then also help a white cell. White cell is your defense and kill the viruses and then all of them. Beta-glucan is a polysaccharide found in yeast and fungi. certain mushrooms. So it's why I recommend always mushrooms and seaweed and other dietary foods that support the white blood cell. And there is a huge article about this wonderful compound, and we have it as supplement. Next. So if I talk about melatonin, I don't think if you heard about melatonin, except if you want to go to sleep. And then this is how people know melatonin. I know melatonin as an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, not just good for sleep. It's great for immunomodulation, regulation for mitochondrial function. So it's so important. What's mitochondrial? It's the energy that found in every cell in the body. So it's also a anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidant actions, you sleep also very good, and the regulation of the circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm is that, you know, sleeping in time, wake up in the time, don't sleep over 10 hours or 12 hours, don't sleep only 4 hours, sleep at night, wake up during a day, and then keep your body work with the whole circadian rhythms, with the whole universe, with the whole ecology system. Well, I have a lot of things to say about it, but I will go through the coaching session, and then I will go back to Lori. So if you can start the next slide, I really appreciate that. And then this is explain the coaching 30 days program that you can get. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we might jump back and forth here, like a little podcast with Cathy or Shereeta if they want to jump in. But we just wanted to introduce you to what the 4 stages would look like if you chose to work with us. And I think you've gotten the hint here that coaches work a 90-minute session with a new client is really focused on so much of their history that you probably have never had the opportunity to actually discuss with a healthcare professional, because you typically get 3 to 6 minutes, maybe 8 minutes in a doctor's office. And it's a very intensive, long questionnaire. It starts at birth and it goes all through the various decades of your life to help trigger, you know, things that might have happened with you. So that's week 1. We get to know each other and we set some individualized goals for yourself. So week 2, please. Week 2, we typically have the test back because we would mail the test kit to you. It's a stool test that is done at home. You mail it in. You don't have to leave your home at any time during these programs that we work with you. Unless you want to go and have a blood test at a lab. But there's a lot of things we can do with you at home and us at home, either during this isolation stage or even when we're out of isolation. So we can work with people wherever they may be. And we'll go through again the results, and we're always looking at personalized recommendations from food and botanicals. Week 3, please. So week 3, we're really digging deep into how to help you change and operate in your kitchen. I mean, the hardest part for most people is, how do I change the way in which I eat? How do I, what do I eat for breakfast? How can I get my lunches all ready? How can I reorganize myself? So that's something that we really dig in. We have cooking classes and shopping suggestions, and we'll have a lot. It's all available online, of course. So, and then week 4, we will talk about what the next steps are, and you will have had some time with us, and you'll start to feel better, and you'll hopefully have some confidence in us, and we will see if you're truly ready. I mean, it is a process, and we'd love, many people end up working with us for 6 months, I have to tell you, particularly the ones that have the underlying chronic problems, that it takes a while to really keep on it. And we work, by the way, with you and with your physician. We never tell you to stop taking your medicine. We want your physical symptoms to improve with a change in lifestyle so that you then can go back to your doctor, show new blood work, have things done, and move forward. So we want to see this as a triangle, and we are in your court so that you have long and successful changes. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
I wanted to mention one thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
One of the things is the education that we provide. And that is, really unmatched anywhere. The level of education that you will receive about your own self, and that everything's about your bio-individual self, because what works for others may not work for you. But also, I got a text message right before we got ready to do this webinar that a friend of mine's wife had lost her life last week to complications from the disease COVID-19. And to be faced with that, it's while we're speaking on the program itself, just to reinforce that how much we are here for you, because I didn't even know she was sick. So reach out to people and to your loved ones to know that this can really be a game changer for people if given the opportunity.
And then also a 1 month program. It's good. Actually, it's very good starting point. But when the disease occurred, it didn't start in 30 days. Our body and our physiology is very complicated. Our body fights for us. So we damage our body for years. And then one day we wake up, oh, I have cancer. And then we want just a quick fix. And this is our problem. And this is our culture. We want to take a pill and feel better and then don't take care of the underlying cause. So if the disease grow up in the body for years, you have also to give some time to your body to heal. So this is why I am telling that story of the people that they think that, okay, I just got a cancer. I just got diabetes. I just diagnosed with that. Not I just diagnosed, but how long your body fight for you to get to this point. So a lot of diseases, they are based on the underlying cause of the gut. And like what we just see today as a gut is the center of all the body. And then, it's 80% of your immunity is 80% in the gut. That makes sense? Well, probably we would open some questions. If we can get some questions, it would be great. Next slide.
Have Jason just go to the last slide there. That's a good one just to.
Yeah. You can contact us through our website. There is a 30-minute free consultation. Please schedule a 30-minute free consultation, and then we will talk to you more, and then we'll answer any question you may have. But in here, we may open 1 or 2 questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, please feel free to take your mic off if you have any questions, or feel free to put them in the chat, and we can always get back to you later.
No question, I guess.
No questions. Well, we have recorded this. At least I'm hoping Jason did. And the recording will be available. But thank you so much for each and every one of you who attended this evening. We hope that you have learned something. We are very passionate. And oh, good. Cheryl has her hand up. Cheryl, can you take your mic off, or maybe not? Yes, and Jason did record, so we're good.
Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
We can.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I've noticed that I've been taking the Juice Plus, and I had the Dr. Sentissi, you did the blood test work on me, and
get a protocol, and within, I would say, 2 weeks, I could tell the difference. And then within 1 month, I felt like a total new person. Now, with this COVID-19 scare, and I'm wondering, I came in late on the webinar because I didn't know how to get on, but right now I'm 60 years old, and what can I do now?
Well, what you do now is to get your test now. 60, it's too young to be scared. You are okay. And also, you already worked with me. So you have a feeling better, your immune system is responding. Just if you catch that, the stool test positive, that means it's not active, and then we'll work with you on improving more your gut health. And then, if there is a weight, we need to take care of, or stress, or this is why we need to do another health questionnaire, and then welcome to register for another program. If you're already with me on the program, that means we can upgrade what you have and then move on. So take a 30-minute free consultation, and then we'll work with you. Thank you so much for all what you did for yourself, and then thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see any other mics coming off, and it is dinner hour. So perhaps we should just wrap it up and say thank you, and make sure that we have your emails, and we'll make sure that you can get the recording. We will put it on our YouTube. Any other final thoughts anybody wants to share before we end this?
So anybody want to share something? Thank you so much for being here. And then we are going to email you the recording.
Okay,
So,
Dr. Sentissi,
yes,
Sentissi, one more question. Do you take insurance?
So when it comes to the insurance, like what we have in the disclaimer, if you are working on buying your tests and then your supplements, I think you can use your savings, but pray for us as holistic coaches and then functional medicine practitioner to be added to the list of insurance. So we still feel like we are discriminated from now. We feel like we need to help people. So if you are going to send a test and then all that, you can swipe your card, the insurance saving card you have, and you pay cash your coach.
Okay. Also, I wanted to let you know that one of my holistic coaches here takes Care Credit, and it's an app that a holistic provider can download, and then the coach or whomever would be able to take Care Credit.
Yes, no problem. We can do that. Care Credit, okay. It's always good. So Care Credit, yes, we can try to swipe the card and then see how it goes. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, well, we look forward to doing more of these. So, be on the lookout.
Yes. Anybody register, basically, we are going to send a recording back. And then thank you so much. Thank you, Jason, for having us in your studio today. And thank you, Lori. Thank you, Shereeta. Thank you, Cathy. And have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.